I never imagined I'd see her like that. Not her, not my wife, the woman I had built my entire world around. And yet, there she was, collapsed on the cold bathroom tile, trembling, mascara streaking her cheeks, hands pressed against her chest as if she were trying to hold herself together. My breath caught. I froze in the doorway. I should have knocked. I should have spoken. Instead, I stood there, silent, watching as the life I thought I knew unraveled second by second. It had started earlier that evening. I'd come home later than usual, the noise of the city faint outside our apartment. Normally, I'd be greeted with warmth, the faint trace of her perfume, the smell of dinner, soft music playing. But that night there was nothing, just silence, a note on the counter in her familiar handwriting. Running errands. Back soon. Don't wait up. I frowned. She almost never left without me knowing exactly where she was going. Something about it felt wrong, but I brushed it off. Maybe she was tired. Maybe it was nothing. Hours passed. Dinner went untouched. I poured a glass of wine and sank into the couch, aimlessly scrolling through my phone. That's when I heard it. The ping of a notification. Her phone was sitting on the counter. Normally, I would never cross that line. We had always trusted each other. But something inside me, a voice I'd been trying to ignore for months, pushed me closer. The messages were short, almost coded, exchanged with someone named Daniel. My stomach tightened as I read the words. Can't wait to see you tonight. Followed by, you'll regret nothing. Promise. The phone slipped from my hand like it burned. My pulse raced. My chest tightened until I could barely breathe. I wanted to scream, demand the truth, but fear pinned me in place. Then I heard it, the soft click of the door. Footsteps, a pause outside the bathroom. I moved toward the sound, heart pounding, and there she was, kneeling, her knees against the tile, tears spilling freely, her body shaking with quiet sobs. She didn't know I was there. She thought she was alone. Emily, I whispered. She startled, eyes snapping wide. Mascara streaked, face pale, raw. For a moment, I thought she'd collapse into me, confess everything, beg for forgiveness. But instead, she pulled back, wiping her face with shaky hands, forcing a brittle edge into her voice. I can explain, she stammered. I let out a bitter laugh. Explain? You think there's a way to explain this? My fists clenched. My throat felt raw, every word tearing out of me. How long, Emily? How long has this been happening? She flinched. It's not what you think. Not what I think. I shook my head. I saw the messages. I know everything. I know about Daniel. I know about the nights you said you were working late. I know about the lies. Her face crumpled. She dropped to her knees again, this time facing me, her mask breaking at last. I didn't mean to. I never wanted to hurt you, she sobbed. I stared at her, the woman I had loved more than life itself, and felt something inside me shatter. Betrayal is a slow poison, but this was instant. It hit me like a bullet. The laughter we'd shared, lazy Sunday mornings, vacations, whispered promises in the dark. Suddenly, they all felt tainted, illusions. I trusted you. I said, my voice hollow, with everything. And you chose him over me. Her hands trembled as she reached for me, desperate. It wasn't about him. It's about us. I felt invisible. Like you didn't even see me anymore. And then he did. He listened. He made me feel real again. A cold, steady anger settled in me. Not just at her, but at myself, at the blindfold I'd worn. I convinced myself our life was perfect. Invisible? I snapped. I've worked 2 jobs to give us this life, to make sure we never struggled. I gave you everything. And you, my voice cracked. You threw away for attention. Tears streaked her face, but her own anger flickered through the sobs. You don't understand. You think money and security are love, but they're not enough. I needed more than being the woman who just holds everything together. Her words cut deep in the affair itself. They were honest, brutally so, and yet they twisted the knife inside me, because part of me knew she was right. I had buried myself in work, in responsibility, in my version of love. But does that excuse betrayal? Does it ever? I lowered myself onto the floor opposite her, the space between us heavy with everything unsaid. So what now? I asked quietly. Her eyes met mine, desperate, fragile hope flickering. I want to fix this. I'll end it with him. I'll stop. We can try again. I shook my head slowly. Try again? Trust isn't something you patch together. You don't get to erase this with promises. You don't get to pretend it didn't happen. Silence pressed in. Only her quiet sobs and the hum of the refrigerator filled the room. I wanted to scream, to throw something, to make the pain visible. But I didn't, because the moment I did, it would be over. And part of me still didn't want it to be over. Not completely. I loved you, I whispered. I still do. But love isn't enough when it's one-sided. It isn't enough when one person builds while the other tears it down. Her hands shook as she reached for mine. Please don't leave me. I pulled away. It felt like tearing my own heart out. I can't, Emily. Not like this. You need time. I need space. I need to know if I can ever forgive this. She crumpled against the wall, burying her face in her hands. I'll do anything, she whispered. Anything to make it right. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to pretend she could undo months of lies with tears and promises. But betrayal leaves scars that apologies can't erase. Weeks blurred past. I stayed at a friend's place most nights, avoiding her food, ignoring her messages. She tried to reach me, notes, texts, even showing up at my work. But every attempt only deepened the wound. One evening, she came home to find me in the living room, suitcase at my feet. Her face went pale. Where are you going? I need to leave, I said simply. I can't live here and watch you lie to me every day. I need to figure out who I am without you. Her knees buckled. She dropped in front of me. This time not in the bathroom, but in the middle of our broken living room. Please don't. We can fix it. I can change. I echoed her bitterly. You can't rewrite the past. You can't erase the pain you caused. I loved you, Emily. I still do. But love can't survive betrayal. And with that, I walked away. Not because my love was gone, but because holding on to it would destroy me. Months slipped by. The apartment felt emptier without her, quieter. I buried myself in work, friends, therapy. The nights were hardest, haunted by the image of her knees on that tile, her sobs in the dark. But slowly, the pain dulled. Not gone, but bearable. I started to see my own worth again, to remember the love I owed myself before anyone else. Then one day, a letter came. Not a text, not a note, an actual letter. Her handwriting. I still think about that night. It began. The night I fell to my knees and you stood there. I wish I could take it back. I wish I had been braver, honest, stronger. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I know that may never come. I just want you to know I'm sorry. And I hope one day you find happiness, with or without me. I folded the letter, a lump in my throat. She had finally owned it. No excuses, no pleas, just the truth. For the first time, I felt closure. Not the happy kind, not the fairy tale kind, but the real kind, the kind that lets you breathe again. I looked out at the city lights, glittering like distant stars. The pain was still there, etched into me, but it no longer ruled me. The betrayal, the heartbreak, the sleepless nights, they were mine now, mine to carry, mine to survive. And that was enough, because survival itself is victory. Because sometimes letting go is the bravest choice. Because sometimes love means knowing when to walk away.